Afterlife Judgment. Judgment of the avatars, which are 99% of humanity that go into the astral purgatory worlds after death. I'm going to be talking about the judgment that is determined there for what happens to these trapped avatars, the people you know, humans who are trapped into the Earth's atmosphere after death. And I'm also going to talk about lineage cleaning, the cleaning of our family lineage. More on that. I have videos on all of this anyway, but more details on the family lineage cleaning because we have entity attachments that have come up from hundreds of lifetimes, not from reincarnation. There is no reincarnation, but from our family lineage and the cleaning of that. So these are the two topics for today. So I'm going into discussing the astral worlds today because I have spent a lot of videos on talking about the migration of the smaller amount of humanity that will actually migrate out of the Earth astral energy worlds, and they are going to go into higher dimensions of light, higher worlds of light, fourth, fifth, sixth density civilizations. But that is a very small amount of humanity over a 200-year period. I have videos on this. Most of humanity, 99% of humanity, stays trapped in the astral purgatory realm of Earth. And so people are asking, what happens to them? So I'm going to tell you, the migration, the great migration of the smaller amount of avatars that are going to go into higher worlds. They're going to be greeted by extraterrestrials. They're going to be transported possibly by sphere beings. They are the ones who are in advanced disciple, initiate, and master levels of my 7 levels. But most of humanity are not able to do that. And so what they do is they are trapped in the Earth's vibration, clinging to their own ego identity. They are addicted to their family, and they are addicted to their ego personality. And so that avatar's consciousness has not expanded enough to free itself from this ego identity, so it remains trapped here for hundreds or thousands of years. And so these astral entities, they're everybody you know in humanity pretty much. They cross over with the same ego identity. They live their lives just like they lived on Earth. It's almost identical. I've been there in the astral worlds. I've been astral traveling since 7. I've been there. There's a house that's duplicated for them. It could either be their latest house or some house they really loved. They're living in this house. They're acting like they always lived on Earth. They're attached to that identity, to their family. And so they have never expanded their consciousness beyond being this one limited body, this one container, this one body, this one avatar. They're just locked into it. And it's further exasperated by those people who believe we have to spend $10,000 on a casket and actually bury this body that's useless in the ground, thinking that thousands of years from now, somebody's going to come back and get this body. Nobody's coming back to get this body. So the body that is trapped in the astral world is the astral body. And there will be a judgment day for these people, friends. They're not going to just be trapped on Earth in the Earth's atmosphere, reality, frequency, the Earth's frequency, like forever. But before that, we do have a harvest. A small harvest happens every time one of these time cycles is getting close to completion. And so when one of these time cycles is getting close to completion, there are lords of light and higher advanced extraterrestrials that will come back here and will take a very small layer of avatars into advanced worlds. And then sometime farther down the line on Earth, then there will be the end, the complete end of this time cycle, and the great lords of light, the time lords, we're talking 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th dimension now, the lords of light from 6th, the time lords, the pattern keepers, and those who created this program that's been running on Earth, they all are going to return when this cycle is over, because a new cycle will begin. And what they're going to do is literally judge, you might say, or evaluate the avatars that have been trapped here, living their life over and over and over and over again. So remember, friends, even Jesus said when he was asked by his disciples, will we be married in the heavenly realms? Will we be husband and wife? And Jesus said, absolutely not. No. There is no husband-wife in the afterworlds. There is no attachment to your children in the afterworlds. The higher free astral worlds, the higher free worlds that Jesus was talking about. He was not talking about the astral worlds. He's saying in his higher kingdoms, we don't have those identities anymore. We don't. So you have to understand, even Jesus said, no, that's not what's supposed to happen. You're not supposed to be clinging to your husband or your wife or your kids. You're supposed to let this go. So what is going to happen when these other beings return at the end of this cycle? It is also similar to what Jesus said in Matthew 25, when he talked about there will be a judgment. There will be some that will be judged to be avatars that will be judged to be able to move on. There will be some of these avatars that cannot move on. What does that mean? That means those that are in the astral worlds, if they've been managing to expand their consciousness a little bit up there and grow and lead a benevolent and pretty much harmonious life. I was going to say no harm life, but a harmonious life. Let's say it's pretty much everybody that we might know, our wonderful grandparents or parents, people that were always kind and nice, but they had a rigid belief system that they were absolutely going to see their family again when they die. When you believe that, friends, you absolutely are going to see your family. You're absolutely going to be with your soulmate. You get trapped here. So those people who are benevolent, kind people stuck in the astral worlds, their avatar, remember this, the consciousness is not attached to the body. Consciousness is attached to the divine blueprint. The divine blueprint is multidimensional. Consciousness has the ability to be multidimensional. But if these people are trapped in the astral worlds, they haven't become multidimensional. They're still in a third density limited view of reality. Their avatars will be transferred to another third density world. So they will move on to a new earth type world where they can transfer their consciousness into something similar to what they were in the astral worlds, meaning a human type form that speaks instead of telepathic, that has a limited view of reality. It doesn't have the expansive view, but they will go to another new world, and it will be in this same frequency, but it will not be, they won't be trapped here. They get another chance to keep going. We all do. Avatars are designed never to keep coming back here over and over and over again. Avatars are designed to grow up their divine blueprint. The ones that will not be moved to new earth type worlds, a new earth, they are going, because they are in retrograde, they are regressive avatars. They have totally regressed and are, these are like the dark, the troublesome, the really broken and misaligned avatars that just continue to live these very broken down patterns. These patterns cannot be allowed to move forward. They can't. So that piece of consciousness, remember when we are born, our soul container, which all soul is just a massive container for consciousness. Our soul gives us a piece of consciousness when we are born. It's attached to the divine blueprint, and we incarnate with that piece of consciousness. And that piece of consciousness is now influenced by its divine blueprint, but it is also influenced here on this earth with our family lineage of thousands of years, of hundreds of lifetimes of our mother's lineage and father's lineage. So we got the lineage, we got the blueprint, and we got the world's belief systems affecting someone who incarnates. So back to the judgment. those avatars who were dysfunctional and unable to grow or stabilize even, their consciousness is going to be recycled. It's going to be scrubbed, and it's going to be put back into the soul container. In other words, it's almost like if you were a painter, since I'm an artist, and you've been painting pictures, and most of your pictures that you've painted you are happy with, but there's one painting you just really wouldn't work. It just, no matter what you did for it, it could never work. Well, you might just paint over it and sort of erase that whole experience and start over. It's like that. Those consciousnesses will, that avatar experience, that consciousness will be reintegrated back into the soul container. So in the absolute end times, when I'm talking where the greater lords of light are coming here, and this whole frequency pattern that we've been in, this time cycle, when the absolute end comes, there will be a judgment. Those that are positive and have shown that they have a stable, harmonious pattern, avatar pattern, will go to new earths. Those who are not will be scrubbed and that consciousness reintegrated into the container. So now you know what's going to happen to those people, because I get people say, what's going to happen to my relatives that are dead? And they will get a chance at the end of this program to go to new worlds and continue on. So now I want to move to our family lineages. I've done a lot of videos on this, but still people are asking me about how to know when those entity attachments that we all have when we come in are cleaned out. And so I have a detailed video of this in my Patreon group. My Patreon group gets more detailed information and personal assistance and help. So come join the Patreon group if you want more help. But in my videos on YouTube, I have talked about how our sacred fire, which is what I teach this powerful energy that can be activated in our bodies, originally with a vortexual spin that shakes the body as this higher frequency is meeting resistance with the lower frequency. There is some turbulence that goes on while this higher, powerful, incorruptible energy is anchored into our electromagnetic field and physical body. Once you anchor this powerful sacred fire energy, which was activated in me, it's something I carry and pass to you. I'm passing this to humanity. Once you anchor this sacred fire energy, you now have a power base. You have something to work with. You aren't just doing affirmations in your head. Oh, I am declaring protection. Oh, I am declaring healing, because you have no power behind your words. Your words have to have a power base. Your visualization and your intent to do something has to have a power base, because otherwise you're just weak and your brain is just mouthing words. You have to put power behind your intent and your words. This is why I keep telling every single person, activate your vortexual spins, activate the sacred fire, get your power base in place. Now you have a power base, you can build a real sacred fire sphere, because there is power there to build and strengthen the sphere. Once you have a power base, you can go through your family lineage on your mother's side and your father's side, and you can shoot that sacred fire down that lineage for hundreds of lifetimes and for thousands and thousands of years. So I've talked about cleaning out our family lineages on both sides. And I've talked about my experience when I knew it was done was after I did this over and over and over again in meditation and visualizations. I had the power, so I would release it from my body. I felt it leave my body. I saw it going down my family lineages on both parents' sides. You could do one at a time. I did it and did it and did it. And then one day I saw at the it was like a line. I was sending it down a line back in time. At the end of that one time, I saw this big explosion of light. And then the event that took place was there was an energy ball that rolled back from the very beginning of my family lineage all the way through me and into the future of my lineage. Now, that was my confirmation. So you can get confirmation in several ways. You're working this lineage, you've been putting sacred fire energy down your lineage now for days, weeks, months, years, whatever it takes. You will have, this is why you keep a journal, you will have an astral lucid dream that will give you confirmation that you've cleaned your lineage. This dream could be like what I told you. In the dream, you could be standing there and looking like down a long horizon or some kind of distance and see a big flash of light. You could see what I saw with this ball of light rolling back and through you. You might have a dream where you're in a room with all these people, and all these people are part of all these people are people in the astral worlds of your family's lineage that all died and went to the astral worlds, but they are influencing you. And you might see them all in a big room, and then you might begin to see them all leave and clear out, or you might walk away from them. There's all kinds of ways you could see yourself, you could see them packing up and leaving. You could see yourself overlooking a large body of people and suddenly then telling yourself you're leaving, or it's gone, it's over, or it's done. This is why you keep a journal. You will get some confirmation that you've cleaned your lineage in a dream, like some kind of a dream experience or a vision, because I have visions as well and I can see, or a vision of a bright light at the end of the lineage or something like this that's moving forward. So write it down in your journal. And if you're in my Patreon group, when you have something you think might be a lineage dream, put it in the Patreon group. I will look at it and work with you with it. But it doesn't have to manifest exactly like mine. So now let me also explain about these entity attachments. Some of these astral entities that are your relatives and relatives hundreds of years ago that are really close to the Earth's frequency, they influence you. Some of them actually attach to you. They are passed through your mother's lineage or your father's lineage directly into you. They damaged your mother, they damaged your father in some way. However, they were damaging your parents and great-grandparents, and however these entities attached, and how they attach and actually move through and then attach into your spinal cord, into your nervous system, is that they get in through some kind of addiction, cigarette smoking, alcohol, sex, drugs, power addiction, lust addictions, some kind of strong addiction that these astral entities feed off of. And these astral entities can, a lot of them are your family lineage, but some of them are just not very friendly fourth density beings. So those could also be attachments. So you have to, in cleaning your family lineage, if you have one of these entities that's been passed over and over and over, and it's not just out there influencing you, but it's actually part of you. And what I mean by that is, when you're a child, it is completely integrated with you. So as you grow up, you don't even know that voice in your head that you're hearing is an entity and not your own voice. It is so well integrated. It usually takes someone who can see these to identify them. But you can do it with the sacred fire. Also, you may clean your lineage and get it pretty close to being ready and clean, but if you have an addiction, it's still going to hold the entity. So you must clean out your addictions. You must stop doing repetitive behavior that is detrimental to your spiritual growth. Now I'm moving just a little bit off of a chemical addiction like drugs and prescription sleeping pills and smoking and alcohol. And I'm moving over to another kind of addiction where it is repetitive patterns in you that are constantly self-sabotaging, constant victim mentality, constant, blaming everyone else, constantly not taking responsibility for your own life, and there's these repetitive patterns that continuously sabotage, continuously blame others, you know, just continuously, right when you're getting ready to be successful or accomplish something, you know, sabotage it. These are these entities that are attached to this repetitive pattern. These have to be cleared. So it's not only just releasing the sacred fire down your lineage and cleaning a lot of the noise out, it's also getting to those hardcore attachments that you have. Because if you can't get rid of those attachments before death, you go into the astral worlds because you have these astral entities on you, and the whole vibration is not freed to expand into higher consciousness and to go into higher dimensions. So you go into the astral world with these entity attachments. And they could be dead relatives, or they could be other kinds of entities. So now I'm explaining that a little bit better. I hope you understand that your dream of verification of cleansing will come when you've cleaned out the noise. I'm going to call all of your lineage from hundreds of lifetimes noise. When you've cleaned that out and when you've gotten rid of your entity attachments. Now you will be getting confirmation in dreams. Write them down. It will be, you know, it will be something you notice. It's going to be a clearing, a cleaning, an expansive feeling of freedom. You could see them all go away, or you could just have a dream where you have just bursted into the sun or bursted out of being in a cage, something where you've been set free. That's what I want you to think about on the lineage. Remember, I have videos on this in Patreon, and I can talk to you personally there. Now, I want to say one more thing about the Great Migration in connection to this. The Great Migration is going to be a very small group of people. And in my 7 levels of consciousness, see my videos on that. We have tribal, mass, individual, aspirant, disciple, initiate, and master levels. Now, most planets only have 3 levels of spirit evolution going on, something like a disciple, initiate, master planet. Now, those would all be able to work. Those are more nonviolent, harmonious, cooperative levels of spiritual evolution. Those 3 levels would be able to work together really harmoniously on a planet, and you wouldn't see all the conflict and polarization and stuff you see down here. You would see some growth and some challenges, but it's nothing compared to what Earth is stuck with 7 levels. So most of humanity is an aspirant level and below. These are warring, polarizing, self-centered, highly emotional, spiritual evolution, spiritual mentality. Now, when you move into disciple level, there's going to be what I call New Age disciple and what I call an advanced disciple. New Age disciples are what pretty much everybody who watches this video. Most everybody who's coming through these videos, they have a solid aspirant, emotional, polarizing background in themselves, and that may be 70%. And then they have maybe 30% of themselves that are disciple. They've left traditional religions. They're jumping all over the place, reading thousands of books and taking all these workshops and just watching every YouTube thing, and they're jumping from belief to belief. They try it, they get bored, they try it, they get bored. That's not good. Oh, look at this shiny object. They're into glamour. They're into all the psychic abilities. They're into UFOs and ETs, and they'd much rather hear some channeling dark entities or fallen entities rather than do the work of an advanced disciple, because they are addicted to glamour. They're addicted to the excitement. They're addicted to the newness. They don't have any discipline in their mind. They have no discipline in their emotions. These are going into the astral. The ones that are going to be harvested by the extraterrestrials and in more advanced beings are going to be advanced disciples. Disciples who have been dedicated to meditating for decades. For decades. They meditate like they breathe. If you get up and you eat and you take a shower, you meditate. Meditation is just as important as your breathing and eating. It is first in their lives, and they're working with sacred fire in order to build a power base. Now, you could be meditating from other kinds of techniques. we can include that in your long period of meditation. The point is, no matter what meditation you have been working to calm the monkey mind and still the emotions and have mindfulness. And there are Buddhist teachings on this. So you have a well-built foundation of long-term meditation. So these advanced disciples now have opened a pathway to higher consciousness because they have stilled the noise through dedicated meditation. So an advanced disciple is rational. They've developed the mind and the intellect. They're no longer being stimulated by emotions. And the emotions are me, you know, or polarization, or hate, or just angry about what someone else is doing. They've let that go. They've become mindful of themselves, and they only monitor themselves. And when something happens in their life that is not something they can live with or feel is right, they first go within themselves to try and find a balanced position to just allow that to be. So you might say Eckhart Tolle is teaching advanced disciples because he's teaching to be in the now. So no matter what the turmoil is in the world, you can release that turmoil and just sit in this now moment and be still and be open to divine inspiration and be still. That is an advanced disciple. This is who the higher beings are looking for. In advanced disciple, you can be telepathic. Of course, you can be telepathic in all levels because even lower tribal levels are in contact with their dead ancestors. Remember, all of our lineage, if it's not been cleaned and purified, is yapping at us in our heads. We're naturally telepathic. But in disciple level and above, you are consciously aware of that and consciously knowing what's talking and what's talking to you. So you develop a stronger telepathic communication in advanced disciples. So these higher beings are looking for calm, rational disciples, advanced disciples who have some telepathy now, and they can communicate with you now because you've calmed all the noise of the astral worlds. So now you can actually communicate with them. And we're talking the good ETs in 4th density and 5th density. There are fallen lords of light in 4th density. See other videos. So an advanced disciple has this telepathic ability, has calm mind and calm emotions. They're going to be 4th density. That's who's going to be looking to take those advanced disciples. 5th density, which I've done videos on, will be initiate level. And 6th density will be master level. So that's my video for today, friends. If you have any questions, you could post them down below the video, or you can join my Patreon group. Be sure and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.